Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Molnar here. Great to have you here for me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather March 2024 Outlook. Is winter gone? Or are we actually going to see maybe the chance of a few more winter storms? We'll explore that possibility to see if the raging Inferno is going to continue across the east. Are we going to continue to see that early spring? Or is it going to be a back and forth, a clash of the seasons? And could we actually see, any chance of severe weather outbreaks as well? Along with all of the details here on your winter versus spring. And West Coast storminess could also translate towards East Coast storminess as well, as we see moisture surges and tremendous number of low-pressure systems riding from the southeast up the U.S. East Coast. Could this mean not just heavy rain, but the potential for some heavy wet snow if it does occur during the nighttime hours? And we'll take a look at your upper air pattern, your entire month of March on what is likely to happen, as we tend to get this time of year a back and forth type action between winter versus spring. Let's get into it. And just how plausible is this happening right around the second weekend here of March into parts of the Northeast? Could we actually see a significant snowstorm if this were to occur, especially at night? We'll explore that possibility as well in our March outlook. So our medium range climate model here, our CFS model, we're taking a look at upper air height anomalies here. You can see that Inferno ridge continuing here across eastern North America. Even as we get into, say, around the 8th, 9th, and the 10th here, you can see what's happening. We have this energy that's continuing across the central U.S. from the west coast, and that's going to temporarily move this Inferno ridge out. You get the potential for some sort of East Coast storm. Whether it will be snow, that remains to be seen. One thing will be certain here is we'll build that Inferno ridge back in towards the middle of the month, and we get some very fast-moving systems here. So that's going to be the name of the game, even if we're able to stir up a snowstorm that's actually able to occur at night, because that's this time of year, the diurnal heating during the day, the sun angle will be a big factor. So you need to get any kind of accumulating snow. It will need to occur at night. You can see we're going to continue with very fast moving flow here. So any storm is not going to be able to sit there and dump tremendous amounts of snow. So as we continue through the end of the month, you can see that Inferno ridge. We are definitely, that is the key here. This ridge comes and goes pretty quickly, but it pretty much solidifies. You can see most of Canada by the 1st of April here. It's just building in. We get these smaller storms and these cutoff type storms that do develop. Polar vortex is still going to be an issue here as we head into March. It will be weakening as its effects as it does this time of year, but it will be drifting over towards Western Europe here as we get towards, say, Tuesday, March 5th, March 6th, March 7th. You start to see the alignment, though. It's starting to have some influence here into North America as we head toward the second weekend of March here. This could be enough to align us with that potential snowstorm here across the East Coast here. Now look at, there's the cell heading towards South Greenland and Iceland here. We've been waiting for this all winter here in North America if you love snow, and it's finally starting to occur towards March 13th and 14th. You see on the back, usually the back side, the southwest side of this polar vortex, you can start to get these cold air outbreaks. And now this time of year, they'll be more moderate because, we have the higher sun angle. But if you can get some of these snowstorms to line just right into the cold air at nighttime, you can actually get some pretty decent snow. Now, across the southeast here, you can see that's where we could see those severe weather outbreaks on the south side of this as we get some cool air outbreaks to the north. And look at March 18th here, you can see the cell is right over northeastern Canada. So it's a fair game here for some big time storminess. All right, so taking a look at the United States outlook here, you can actually see across the northern and eastern part of the United States here. You can see that's where we're going to see through days. This takes us through the middle of March here. It's just going to be averaging out to warmer conditions. That doesn't mean you can't see a snowstorm here in the east. It just means the chances for this time of year have dipped tremendously. Now, out west here, a lot of mountain snow. You're going to continue to see these pummeling storms move into the west coast. And as we take a look at overall precipitation departure from average here, you can see what's going on here, especially the southeast getting in on the act. Even the northeast, we're slightly above average here. Central states, you get these Colorado lows. Yeah, that's going to spin up all that tremendous moisture, even across northern Texas here. And look at the west coast, just inundation as we continue to get one storm after another. All right, so looking ahead here on the GFS, you can see mostly all week, we're going to be dealing with rain here across the east, especially as we head towards the middle of the week. You can see a surge of moisture with this little low pressure moving up across the east. Also another front moving in, and you can see out west here, we're going to continue with that extreme mountain snow here in the Sierra Nevada range. And then look at this, towards the middle of the week, we are looking at another surge of rain here across the Ohio Valley into the northeast. This is right around the 6th here, so we're getting right into Wednesday, and that low pressure moving just west to the I-95 corridor. That is where we're going to see the rain moving up. Look at, though, as we get towards, say, the 7th, there's hints that maybe with this high pressure system, the east side of it will get enough cold air from the Adirondacks northward, northern Vermont, southeastern Quebec, and northern New Brunswick that we could actually get some heavy wet snow out of this, depending on how this low pressure system rides. You can see out west continuing storminess. Here in the central states, we start to see an area of low pressure form. But watch this. So as we head towards next weekend, many of you are wondering, I'm just going to give you a sneak peek here. There it is, that system moving out. Time for the 9th from New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, ending as snow, period of snow. Now look at here, this is the 9th. This is heading on into next Saturday. So it's a very complicated, complex scenario. We got that Colorado low moving a little bit further to the south on this run, and a new low pressure initiating over North Carolina. Now, it's imperative this time of year that you actually get snow occurring at night, because during the day it's affected by the sun angle, especially for accumulating on pavement and whatnot. So yeah, it's showing wet snow here, but I would not expect much accumulation during the day. But look at this as we head throughout next Saturday night into early Sunday morning. If indeed this does materialize, you can see the upper level low back here across the Great Lakes, turning rain to snow. Cleveland, you're kind of right on the edge. Look at here. It's showing enough cold air with this high pressure to the north that you're actually staying all snow all night long. This is actually pretty interesting as this low pressure intensifies. This is towards 6 a.m. We start to get towards sunrise here. And, you know, during the day, you get the effects of the sun angle. But even on Sunday night into early Monday next week, as we head on into the 9th, 10th, and then into the 11th, that's where we're going to start to see, there's Monday morning, really early morning hours. That is where we're going to start to see that low pressure system really wind up. Cape Cod region, this is 9 a.m. on next Monday, March 11th. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye on with some snow showers, lake enhancement snow, lake effect snow kicking in behind it off Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. That could promote some additional accumulations here. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye on. That moves out of the picture. You see a really warm flow takes over towards the middle part of the month here. Lots of rain heading across the southeast here, as I showed you on our outlook. But yeah, that's the key. And then we get towards the 17th into the 18th, another cold surge across the northeast. That's that trough that didn't look as pronounced for me. So not a lot of, major storminess. These storms kind of moving very quickly off the U.S. East Coast. All right, so taking a look at any cold air outbreaks, you can see at this point, starting off here, the first and second of the month, all the cold air is bottled up here into northern Canada. Now, let's go along here, and we'll see if we have any chance of these cold air outbreaks. You can see some fringes here towards the first full week of March, but look at the warm air is really winning out here, especially across eastern North America. You see by the 11th here, things really start to change out west here. Yeah, you got some cooler air, but look at how far north this really cold air retreats here across northern Canada. So this is dwindling our chance for any major significant... Look at this. This is a raging inferno across the east as we head towards, say, the 13th, 14th, and 15th, the central portion of the month here. You do start to see a surge towards the 18th, though. This could be our surge of cold air. The only thing is, as I told you, the trough is basically positively tilted. So the chances of getting any storms here, especially along the East Coast, are almost next to nothing when you have that sort of trough. So that's our last frame there. I'm going to show you. There it is. We're going to talk more about this is because, we could see the surge of cold air. It could open up, the lakes for some lake effect snow. But as I said before, the previous winters, this has been the name of the game. The cold air is not lining up with the storms and the moisture. Now, looking at the GFS model here in the short term, at least through the middle of the month, you can see, this ridge here, this is what many of you snow lovers don't want to see. It is going to be really hard to get any major snow unless it occurs at night, as I've said before. We start to get towards Sunday, March 10th. There is that trough that could really dig in. We might be able to get some sort of system developing here. As I said before, though, look how fast moving it is. By the 12th and 13th, it's way out here. One thing to note here from my Canadian friends, you can see that ridging building across north central and eastern North America. That's going to continue to give you that Inferno ridge as well. Even out west, as the southwest is getting this trough, you can see way out here on the west coast of Canada and the Pacific Northwest of the U.S., ridging really starts to build in towards the middle of the month here. And then you get some sort of system. I'm not really overly impressed with this because you can see this is not negatively tilted. This is positively tilted. It doesn't really mean any big storm can get going. Yeah, you'll see some colder air, but that is about it. All right, so any severe weather outbreaks? Well, this is right around, let's just back this up just a little. This is right around the 5th at 7 a.m. You can see here on our modeling, looks like some real strong storms here, a mesoscale convective complex moving into parts of the panhandle of Florida. So I'm a bit concerned about this come midweek. This is something we're going to have to keep a close eye. That races towards the Carolinas towards the 6th here. This is feeding into our, it's kind of hard to keep track of all these storms. There it is moving into the northeast. So heavy rain moving up here. At least that's what the GFS is showing here at this time. Potentially northern fringe, some heavy wet snow. And there's the next storm rampaging across the south. We could see severe weather into parts of the southeast come March 8th here. That moving towards the east, towards the Carolinas on March 9th, moving off the east coast. And then as we continue to get these storms rocketing out of the central states as well, look at this. Towards the middle of the month, right around the 16th, we could see another surge of potentially severe weather. Anytime you get this clash of the seasons, cold air to the north, warm tropical air to the south, that's where the battleground lies. And I think I'm very concerned this month for a lot of chances of severe weather here, especially across the deep south, heading east here towards the Carolinas. All right, so I wanted to show you here on the European model, especially mid to late week, how this Euro plays these storms out. There's that first little weak area of low pressure that I showed you on the GFS. It moves up here through the Hudson Valley into western New England come the 5th into the 6th. Now, there is that second area of low pressure. It's actually moving further to the east here on the European model. You can see it just off the coast. There's that placement of the high. This is definitely key, especially if you can get this to occur at night. All this cold air bottled up just to the north of it. This is 10 a.m. though on the 7th. So this is Thursday. Interesting to see this. It moved to the north. So I don't think coastal areas will see any snow out of this. It would definitely be interior areas towards 1 a.m. on the 9th. So this is getting into Saturday morning. Now here's our next area of low pressure, I should say our third low pressure system. So we're going to get these areas, this one a bit further to the south here, coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. You can see it barreling right up the course of the Appalachians here, just west of it. First low. And here is the secondary low forming here. So kind of similar as it was on the GFS. This is towards the 10th at 9 a.m. So this is getting into Sunday morning. Probably on the northern fringes of this, we're going to see that snow developing. And there it is cranking off the coast. Any of this behind, this is 9 p.m. So this is after sunset next Sunday. You can see this could actually be in the form of snow, and we could actually see accumulation if this occurs during the overnight hours. So this is a trend we'll have to keep an eye on. I'm going to have more details on this as we continue to draw closer to this event. You can see low pressure forming or continuing to bomb up here into the Canadian Maritimes. Definitely snow on the backside as well. And it looks like there's some sort of trough continuing here into New England as we head into Monday afternoon on the 11th. So we might have a prolonged period of snow here across central and eastern New England. Total snowfall accumulation here on our European model. This takes us through this week. Look at the out west here. Some of these mountains could see 10 to 15 feet here in the Sierra Nevada. That is just insane. Here, look at this. There's that spin up there. This is actually the first spin up later Thursday into Friday. Look at that. That is pretty interesting here into parts of the Northeast. We'll have to keep a close eye on that. I'm going to have more details as we draw closer to that. And then another potential area, interior. This not looking as impressive, though, on this model run in particular. But look it up here across central Canada. Most of that is falling the first part of this week. So eastern Canada seems void of snow until we get to about later on in the week into next weekend. And then here looking on the GFS model, pretty much agreeing with the Euro, at least through the middle part of the week, all the snow out west here into west central Canada as well. We get towards next week, later this coming week, right around the 7th and the 8th, Thursday night and Friday, northern Adirondacks. So the GFS is a little bit further inland. And then look what the GFS does here. We're going to zoom in on this momentarily, but this could actually happen next weekend. We'll have to take a look and see if it aligns up with any nighttime snow, because that's what you'd be looking at to get any sort of accumulation. And here it is again. First wave of snowfall here moving across interior Northeast towards Thursday night and Friday, northern Adirondacks, all the way to northern Maine. Wow, that's pretty significant. But there is that next system. This is later on Saturday into early Sunday. A lot of this would be following early Sunday and then into Monday night as well. Wow. This model run of the GFS really goes crazy. Look at this. As I said before, I'm not completely sold on this, especially during daytime accumulations, but if you get some good 32 or below temperatures at night, you can crank up some pretty good accumulations this time of year if things line up just properly. As I said before, we're a little ways out here, so a lot can change to see where this low pressure system is going to ride. And here we go. We're going to take a look at total liquid equivalent precipitation here. Let's start us off with the GFS on the liquid. You can see as we head throughout the rest of the week, most of this here through early Monday following this weekend here across the Northeast, upward to 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, maybe over an inch. Out west, you're just continuing to get pummeled here into California. Here along the Gulf Coast, that's what that midweek system, wow. Look at this. I am a little concerned about this. Look at this. Piling more 2 to 3 inches of rainfall here into parts of the Northeast. And then, of course, the northern fringe could potentially be snowfall. And then look at that. We're just adding more moisture on top of the weekend system. We could be topping out at 4 to 6 inches of liquid equivalent across parts of interior Pennsylvania, New York, and western New England here. So it's something we're going to keep an eye on. Even the Ohio Valley, 2 to 3 inches of liquid equivalent. That's something we got to keep a very close eye on. And flipping over to the Euro for your liquid equivalent, there's our weekend system here into the Northeast, 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, eastern New England, eastern New Jersey, parts of Long Island here, 1 inch to 1.5 inches possible. Look at out west, just continuing to pummel that moisture. There's our next system midweek. We're just surging more liquid, mainly in the form of rain, maybe fringes to the north, some snow here. We'll have to keep a very close eye on that. Another low moving up here along the East Coast, just piling more precipitation on top of it. And then there's our next weekend system, more rainfall and some snow potentially here into parts of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. So a lot of question marks to see what we're going to have here. One thing to note, it doesn't matter if it's rain or snow. It is going to be very stormy here across the East. And Joe Drehos here from the Johnson City, New York area. You guessed it. This looks like mammatus clouds here moving out ahead of the storms that were racing. Most of the storms actually didn't have lightning or thunder. There was a lot of wind. There was some reports of some lightning and thunder, however. But the big key with this was just a few hours before the big, cold front moving through. And there was a tornado touchdown in Broome County, New York, Castle Creek, New York, to be exact. So this was signifying when you see these type of clouds, you better seek shelter within, say, an hour or two, because usually these clouds are racing out ahead of these main lines of big thunderstorms. Nice captures there, Joe Dreyhouse, from the Johnson City, New York area this past Wednesday. So winter storm outlook here across Canada. Wanted to take you through this because we're going to go through a very quiet period. Unless you're here into the far north Ontario and Quebec regions, you'll start to get some snowfall breaking out. High pressure is going to be the rule, though. As we head towards the central part of next week here, this coming week, you can see there's going to be a surge of moisture up here into Canada, eastern parts of Ontario and Quebec here, central Quebec. But a lot of it's going to be in the form of rain showers. We're going to have a lot of, look at out west here, though, kind of getting a break. But here we go. We get this low pressure moving up across the northeast. It looks like at this point it's all, rainfall moving into southeast Canada. The northern fringe of it here might actually be some wet snowflakes north of Quebec City here. High pressure building in behind it. That's going to promote some colder air. That could actually turn the precipitation to snow in northern New Brunswick here. Initially, rainfall here in Nova Scotia, look at ending as a period of wet snow. So on the backside of the system, you got to watch this out. Look at this. We could be ending as snow here across parts of New Brunswick, Nova Scotia region, starting as rainfall here in Newfoundland. But here we go, another system. Look at the west coast towards the 9th does start to, heat up here with lots of inland snow and coastal rain really heading back in pretty quickly here. So as we continue through the rest of the month here, you can see towards the 10th and the 11th, we get these upper level lows forming. Will this East Coast storm potential, spin up? It looks like not really, because this high pressure really starts to dominate towards the 2nd and 3rd week of March here across eastern Canada. The only snow I can see here is the west coast of Canada. Look at most of Canada at this point is really void of any moisture. We actually have to go towards the 13th and 14th here. We get our Colorado low really heading to the north here. Look at this. Most of Ontario by this point is rainfall, rain showers. You have to go out west here to get into that heavy snow. And then look at this. As we head towards the 16th and the 17th, you start to get some rain showers breaking out. Maybe some snow here north of Toronto and Ottawa, and then heading off towards, look at this. Most of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia at this point, though, is rain showers. So, yeah, it's going to be marginal for any snowfall here. As we head towards the middle to latter part of March here, you can see the last few frames. Let me just back that up just like, there we go. So you see towards the 18th of March, you get this high pressure surge of warmth behind it here on the backside. The key is out west here, the west coast, continuing to get this heavy snow just inland here. So for Canada, here is your snowfall outlook here. Measuring this in, I believe, centimeters. Here it is. So as we head towards this first week, most in the central provinces here, as we head throughout the middle of the week here, piling up some snow on the north side of that Colorado low. Look at, though, later next week here, we could actually have, a snowstorm here from most of New Brunswick, northern Nova Scotia, here into parts of Newfoundland as well. This is something we'll keep an eye on. Could we actually see more than 30 centimeters of snowfall? Look at how that blossoms to the northwest here, too. And then look at that towards, say, the 11th and 12th. Look at out west. You're getting in excess of 60 centimeters in some of the big mountain ranges out here. So keep an eye on that. I got plenty more weather for you in just a moment. But take a look at my affiliate. Do you want some awesome maps? Check this out. I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order.
So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
So let's take a look at our temperature outlook here briefly. You can see, look at this raging inferno heat. You have to go over to the northern plains and Rockies to get into that heat, or not heat, actual cold air. Yeah, the heat's way over here. Look at this, 80s all the way up to parts of Missouri here. That is crazy. Even 60s in the Ohio Valley. So we get into Monday here. That's just going to continue this surge. Look at this. We're getting in the 70s here into parts of Ohio and Indiana. 60s into the Northeast here. And look at this cold air. There's a little Arctic air intrusion here staying up here in North Dakota and Montana. But look at back east here. Raging inferno from Texas and Florida, surging up here into parts of the Northeast. This is March 5th, by the way. We get into March 6th. Look what's going on. Ooh, look how toasty it is in parts of central southern Florida, South Texas here, all into the 80s. We get a little bit of a, can you really call this a cool shot? A little bit cooler here, 50s, low to mid 50s here across parts of the eastern Great Lakes. As we get towards Thursday, yeah, you're going to be getting some more precipitation here into the Northeast, so it's going to hold temperatures down just slightly. But look at this, 60 all the way to Pittsburgh. You can't really call that cool for this time of year. Look at the Gulf Coast region, 70s and even some lower 80s as we head towards March 8th. Look at this. We're actually baking into the mid 80s here into parts of Orlando, southward to Miami, South Texas as well. This is the only cold air in town. Look at this. Early spring definitely continues here across the east. Extended outlook from hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Upper Susquehanna River Valley. The name of the game here, Sunday through the new week here. It's just going to be downright warm, feeling spring-like all the way here through Thursday. You will get some showery weather towards the middle to latter portion of the week. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also at Weather Northeastern, also at Hurricane Northeastern, and also at Susquehanna Weather. Also Twitter at Weather Eastern, and you can visit me at MeteoMark.com. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to check out my winter weather outlook for 2023-24, and link in the description down below, as well as my affiliate, Trilogy Maps.